Kraken. Who is this? According to one version, the Kraken is an underwater monster, according to another, a demon, according to the third, some kind of superintelligence. We believe that the Kraken is a legendary sea monster that has intrigued the minds of sailors and marine explorers for centuries. In legends, the Kraken is described as a huge monster that lives in the depths of the sea and is able to sink ships. Perhaps this mythological image was inspired by real creatures that are found in the seas, such as giant octopuses or squids. The Kraken is the Scandinavian version of the Saratan and the Arabian dragon or sea serpent. The first detailed summary of marine folklore about the Kraken was compiled by the Danish naturalist Erik Pontoppidan, Bishop of Bergen, 1698–1774. He wrote that the Kraken is an animal the size of a floating island. Even more dangerous for ships is the whirlpool that occurs when the Kraken quickly sinks to the seabed. The Kraken has dark, spiked skin and can raise its tentacles in the air. No cephalopod is strong enough to raise its tentacles in the air. If not for the beak and tentacles with suction cups, it would be difficult to identify a real animal in it. The back of the Kraken is a mile and a half wide. This huge back protrudes from the sea, like a huge island. The dimensions reach 60 meters. The Kraken has a habit of darkening the seawater by spewing some kind of liquid. This statement gave rise to the hypothesis that the Kraken is an octopus, only huge. According to stories, this huge creature was like an island. When the Kraken attacked the ship, it would wrap its tentacles around the hull and knock it over. The team sank, after which the octopus swallowed its victims. Despite such a rather large size, the Kraken in the water can remain completely invisible. Krakens live in the vast ocean, clearly at a profundity of 200 to 1,000 meters. About 10 species of this genus are known, distributed in all oceans except the Arctic Ocean. It used to be that the Kraken watches treasures from submerged ships. By the way, the fact that they live at such an unthinkable depth explains such rare meetings with them. A furious Kraken discharges an overcast fluid into the water similarly as an octopus does, just the defensive fluid of the Kraken is toxic. In that lies another peril. So a gathering with a Kraken is totally unwanted for an individual. One thing quiets me down: meeting him is extremely challenging. It never swims to the surface, and at the profundity at which the octopus lives, the man himself is a rare visitor. It follows that the Kraken isn't yet the most impressive hunter for people in the sea. First story. Our anglers, composers Pontoppidan, collectively state that occasionally, particularly on blistering mid-year days, while venturing out onto the ocean, they encounter a strong change in depth, 35 to 50 meters rather than the normal 145 to 180 meters. In such places, as a rule, there is almost no fish at all. The fishermen hardly throw their gear, from which they conclude that there is a Kraken under the matter depth. In their opinion, it is this creature that does not allow normal depth measurement, creating an obstacle for the probe. However, such meetings are usually welcome, as they are considered an omen of successful fishing. Sometimes more than 20 boats gather over the Kraken so close to each other that it becomes almost impossible to continue fishing. All that remains is to observe the depth with a probe. Its decrease indicates that the animal is rising to the surface. And then, without wasting time, the fishermen stop fishing, grab the oars and swim as soon as possible to a normal depth, where they can feel safe. Halting, they see how a gigantic beast shows up on the outer layer of the water. It springs up until its whole body is shown, which the natural eye can't catch with a look. Its back, which has a circuit of around 2 kilometers, from the outset looks like a bunch of islands encompassed by a specific substance that floats and influences like ocean growth. Here and there, bumps appear on the surface of the water, similar to sandbars, over which many small fish jump, until the bars sink into the water again. And afterward, slowly extending, various splendid spikes or horns develop over the ocean surface, some of the time arriving at the level and width of the size of a typical boat's pole. It is said that if the hands of this creature were to grasp even the largest warship, they would drag it along into the void. After the beast has been on the outer layer of the water for a couple of brief minutes, it starts to gradually sink, and right now the peril is similarly essentially as extraordinary as in the past. Plunging, the creature makes such cycles and sprinkles of water that it hauls everything around with it. Second story. 3 Newfoundland anglers were fishing near the shore. On the shallows they saw some sort of huge creature, which solidly steered into the rocks. Persuaded that the Goliath beast couldn't move, the anglers worked up determination and swam nearer. The dead body of the kraken was taken to the closest science place. Around the same time, a few additional unbelievable beasts were mined. Obviously, some difficult disease seethed among them. Numerous Goliath creatures passed on during these years. They were in many cases tracked down then on the outer layer of the sea, half dead and dead, and, surprisingly, on the shore, tossed out by the ocean. One of the first to study krakens was the American zoologist Addison Verrill. He gave the creatures of this class a name, and ordered a depiction of the creature as indicated by every one of the principles of zoological science. At long last, the incredible krakens got official acknowledgement. Carl Linnaeus, the organizer behind the cutting-edge grouping of untamed life, submitted krakens in the request of mollusks. By and large, he was correct. Krakens, or, as they are currently called, octopuses, are truly mollusks. Awful beasts, it ends up, are direct relations of snails, the most quiet animals on the planet. In the 1900 years, the kraken turned into the subject of many books and stories. The most famous of these is Jules Verne's novel 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which describes the kraken as a huge octopus that attacks the Nautilus submarine. Notwithstanding the way that many consider the kraken a legendary animal, there is a ton of proof of its presence. A few mariners report seeing colossal limbs rising up out of the water that looked like those portrayed in the kraken legends. Others guarantee to have seen entire crowds of squid that could be water. Following this, they found so many fish in this spot that they filled practically the whole boat. This declaration was given in court after swearing to tell the truth. In light of the portrayal given by Pontoppidan, Carl Linnaeus arranged the kraken among different cephalopods and allotted it the Latin name Microcosmos. Such is the legend of the kraken. For a long time, at the suggestion of Pontoppidan, he was thought of as a fantasy of sailors, an animal 2 kilometers in size. Even then science considered this impossible. So what is a kraken? Legendary animal or genuine creature? Write in the comments and subscribe.